Just a bit, yeah. What I want to talk about today is intuition. Specifically, where does intuition come from? A lot of people over the years have asked me that, how can you say that? Why do you feel your intuition will work? Or how do you know your intuition, what your intuition is saying is true? A lot of questions, and many of us have been there either ourselves, we've asked ourselves that, or people have asked us. And so I said, why not talk a little bit on the scientific side of intuition, and specifically the scientific side of where it comes from. So I'm going to just share my screen so that you can see the presentation. Yes, there is a presentation, but I promise it is fun, it is exciting, and I'm sure you'll take back something from it. Okay. So let's talk about, where does intuition come from? So the first thing that I thought we can look at is, what is intuition? Because of course we say the word, but what does it really mean? And Deepak Chopra has a very interesting definition that I thought I could share. And he says, intuition is a form of intelligence. It is contextual, relational, and holistic. It is sort of like tapping into the mind of the universe. Such an amazing way of defining intuition, right? And as he did that, I wanted, so sometimes, when we talk about intuition, it might also be that, I'm feeling this in my gut, or I'm having this gut feeling. That's what so many times we normally talk, right? Or I feel I should do this, or I know this is right. I know this is the right decision. And you don't want to take any other decision. So those are all forms of intuition. That's when you're being intuitive. And when Deepak Chopra calls it a form of intelligence, he is referring to the non-local correlation of intuition. And we'll come to that maybe a little later. So what he's saying is that intuition is not necessarily about the here and now. It is not necessarily what you are thinking about at this moment. Sometimes we have a feeling about our past, or we have a feeling about the future, and there's no way necessarily that we can validate it, like validate the details of it, right? And but that is also intuition. And another person, Dr. Janki Santoke, she's a Vedanta teacher, and she calls intuition a digested knowledge. It is not random. It is something that we have thought or know of so well that we don't need to think about it consciously. And even this, I thought, is such a beautiful way of defining it, because it is digested knowledge. Our brain is absorbing knowledge. Our senses, all our 5 senses, are absorbing knowledge from our environment, from the people around us, how we are feeling, how we are sensing the nature. We might not be talking to somebody, but we are sensing the people's, what we say, vibrations. And our mind is connecting the dots, and it has its own way of connecting the dots. And all of that is kind of stored as a knowledge, right? It says that, okay, if somebody has a frown on their face, and the face is red, it mostly might seem that the person is angry, or maybe the person has a lot of high blood pressure and is uncomfortable, right? So that is stored knowledge. I may not know that because I'm not a doctor, right? But that is stored knowledge. So that is intuition coming into play. Now, but I'm not here to talk about whether intuition exists and the types of intuition. I just wanted to spend a little bit time talking about what is intuition, and giving you an idea of the different ways that we might talk about it. But let's assume for a moment that intuition exists in all of us, okay? But the question to ask is, where does it come from? And specifically, where does it come from in our body? And can we improve it? To explain this, I'm going to give you a quick 5 to 7 minutes masterclass on the neurological part of our brain. And it's not heavy stuff. I promise I'm making it very simple. But before I do that, I do want to ask you, that, did you know that you have three brains? You have the brain, of course, which we call, it is in our head, the heart brain and the gut brain, okay? I don't know if you knew this, but if you didn't, here's a surprise for you, okay? And so when all the time, these three brains are working together, okay, at any point of time. So when we say, I need to think about it, it's like saying that our three brains need to do like a mini conference and get together and decide what our final decision is going to be. And out of these, it is only the heart that can sense, feel, learn, and remember. And what connects these three brains? Well, it is the vagus nerve, the magical vagus nerve, okay? The vagus nerve is the 10th cranial nerve, so which means it starts from the head, okay, inside our brain. Vagus in Latin refers to wanderer, and it's called vagus because it is, it moves like this. It moves basically across all the organs in our body, and that's why it's like a wandering nerve. So the vagus nerve is also the longest cranial nerve. It intricately is connected to mood, immune response, digestion, and heart rate. The vagus nerve connects to all the major organs of our body. All of them are interconnected. And it exchanges signals between our brain, heart, and gut. To understand this, we'll just spend a few minutes on how the autonomic response takes place in our body and the polyvagal theory. Let me ask you this. When do you feel the most intuitive? Perhaps you might say, when I'm in deep meditation, or you might say when I'm relaxed and I'm just chilling, and things just come to me and suddenly, I feel, oh, this is going to happen. My next question is, do you feel intuitive when you feel at risk of danger or you feel your safety is going to be compromised? Let's take an example. Let's say that you're waiting to cross the road, and as you begin to cross it, you drop your phone. To reach out to pick up your phone, and as you do that, you see a truck coming from your left side. Do you stop there and think, what is my intuition saying now? Should I move? Should I stay here? Let me check in. Or does your body do its own thing and you quickly run to the closest side of the road, as if it happens automatically? And this, everyone, is one of the stages of response. So this is the flight or fight response, which is the mobilization, running away from danger. When I say mobilization, it means that thinking and running. It's not blindly running towards the truck, it is running away and to a safe place. So that is mobilization. And this fight or flight response of the nervous system is also called the sympathetic nervous system, okay? Now, there could also be that, let's say you've had a very bad accident in the past. When you're standing in the middle of the road and picking up the phone that you dropped, you will probably freeze on the side of the incoming truck. That is a freeze response because it is something reminds you of that bad accident and you just freeze in the spot and you don't know what to do, and it is not safe, but you really don't know what to do. That is called the parasympathetic nervous system, which is also the immobilization when we freeze up, okay? And that's why you feel your intuition when you are more relaxed and not thinking of, about the car or where to run, okay? Now this brings us to the third part of it that you see on the slide. It brings us to the social engagement system that Dr. Porges mentions in the polyvagal theory. The polyvagal theory by Dr. Stephen Porges traces back its roots to some of his early work in 1969 with heart rate variability and a question about the tone of the vagus nerve, whether it could be a marker of resilience and risk for infants. But it was only in 1994, after many years of exploration, that he presented the polyvagal theory. So it is relatively very new to us. This particular theory links the evolution of our autonomic nervous system to social behavior and emphasizes the importance of the physiological state in the expression of our behavioral problems. So let's see, what does that mean? So the autonomic nervous system, in a way, actually branches out to two. Okay, so it is sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system, like I said, is when you are aware, oh, the car is coming, I need to do something about it, I will run. So that's the flight and flight response. Under the parasympathetic system, the only part that we knew was the dorsal vagus, which is the immobilization, which is, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Oh my God, I'm frozen. I can't get my feet off the ground. And that was the only part that we knew of. Dr. Stephen Porges, when he researched, he brought the second part of the parasympathetic nervous response, which is the ventral vagus. Now, these are branches, the dorsal vagus and the ventral vagus are branches of the vagus nerve that runs from our brain. So it's simple, it's not complicated. And when I talk about the ventral vagal branch, this is in front of the body. So it covers the face, it covers the heart, it covers the lungs, basically everything above the heart. That is where the ventral vagal branch it covers, okay? And it facilitates engagement with social environment as mentioned by Dr. Porges, and it connects directly to the heart because it is about the face and the heart and the lungs. So, you know, how we breathe, how our heart responds when we see something nice, you know, the smile of the baby sees the smile of its mother, or you know, when our face, there are moments, there is subtle twinkling of the eyes, dilating, or slightly movement of our eyebrows. All of that is like I'm feeling now. So that is that is all part of the social environment, how we engage with the social environment, and the ventral vagal branch sends back signals to the brain. Now coming back to where does intuition come from? So it is the vagus nerve and the heart acting together. So the vagus nerve is like the navigator, and the magic is actually in the heart. And why is that? Like I mentioned earlier, it is because it is only where the heart can sense, feel, learn, and remember. The heart sends more signals to the brain than vice versa. Okay, so 80% of the signals are from the heart to the brain rather than the brain to the other organs. And so when we tap into our ventral vagal branch and anchor ourselves in it, we begin to tap into non-local intuition. What many people talk about, you know, I had this vision, or I could connect to the vastness of the universe. So that's the non-local intuition part of it. But basically what it also says is that the quieter or safer we feel, we can observe the different bits of information in our social environment and our past, and know and hear what our intuition is saying. And some of you may say that, does that mean that the health of the vagus nerve really decides how intuitive you are? Well, yes, it is. That is, to quite an extent, that is true. So the more that we tune into our vagus nerve to know whether we are safe or not, the more we will trust our own intuition. The more you drop your fears, the sharper your intuition will become. And how that happens is because the more we drop our fears, we will know that, okay, this whole bunch is actually just my imagination. I will still feel safe even if it's not there, or even if it is there, right? So that's why your intuition becomes sharper, because you are really exercising that muscle. So, of course, the natural question that comes is that, can we enhance? How do I improve my intuition? So, the first, most important, I would say, or the most interesting part is practicing heart congruence and meditating. So, when I say heart rate variability, it is basically slowing down the heart consciously. Okay, and meditating. Meditation is easier because it can take you directly to slowing down your heart. That's how you do it. There are other holistic techniques that I have proven to be very useful in developing a deeper intuition, because we are connecting, remember, the three brains, the mind, the heart, and the gut. We're connecting all those three. So that's why the breath work works, because the lungs are connected to both the they are connected to the ventral vagus nerve, and it is sending those signals. So yoga, humming, breathwork, gargling, all of them help in activating our intuition, or making it, actually activating our vagus nerve and making it sharper. Also our diet, so whether it is increasing the fiber in our diet, beetroot juice, omega-3 in your diet, cutting down on sugar, eating more plant-based diet. And I don't want to get into this because that's an entire, probably a day's workshop in itself. But there's a lot of material out there that can help you understand why this all helps in improving your ventral vagal nervous system and your response to that. Right? So in the end, I would only like to say that intuition is like a muscle, and the more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. So what are you waiting for? If you would like to know more about this, there is a lot of research that you can look up. You can specifically look up research by, of course, Dr. Stephen Porges, who's done a lot of work on the vagus nerve, and of course has given us the polyvagal theory. We also have Dr. Kevin Travey, Deb Dana, and Stanley Rosenberg, who have also done a lot of extensive research work on the vagus nerve. So that was it from my side, a little bit about the vagus nerve and where our intuition comes from. Let me know how you feel about it. I would love for you, love to know your comments, and talk about this more in a more interactive mode. So till next time, so much love to you. Take care and stay blessed as always.